It's time to get educated on the craziness impacting K-12 classrooms and college campuses around the world. This is the Dr. Duke Show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Dr. Duke Show. We got a great show for you today, so please hit that share button to keep us growing. We're joined in studio now by our international correspondent, Alex Newman. Alex, it is great to have you here in Wisconsin.
It's wonderful to be here. Thank you so much, Duke.
Except the cold. Yeah, it's cold. It's real cold, but we're always glad to see you. And this is one of those stories that you're just going to have to scratch your head. You know, it's funny. Think about the way we dealt with Donald Trump as president. Can you imagine if any of the public schools or any of the private schools for kids held any kind of rally or any kind of MAGA meeting or in any way? Can you imagine if any public school kids were exposed to any pro-Trump propaganda? It would be the end of the world, right? And we remember that there wasn't any. Remember under Obama? All those kids singing and chanting. Take a look at what's going on in Lowell School in Washington, D.C. This is a private school, and tuition's about $40,000 a year for little kids to go. Take a look at this.
It is insane. I've got a 5-year-old at home who's about the age of those poor kids, can't tie his shoes yet. Can you imagine anybody had a 5-year-old kid marching around supporting Donald Trump, like you said, or pro-life? Oh my goodness, it's child abuse. They'd call the CPS. It'd be an absolute dumpster fire, and yet these poor parents paying $40,000 a year are having their kids brainwashed into a Marxist cult. I mean, the founders of BLM admit they're Marxists.
Yeah, and there's no way children that age know what they're even marching about. No. I mean, this is using children in your grown-up vanity. I can't think of it. It's criminal in some ways. It's criminal. It's age inappropriate. It's an abuse of everything education should stand for. And but it's just creepy on top of everything else. This is what you expect to go on in places like China, right? Yeah. Where everybody sings their paeans to the dear leader and grows up to be fascist communists, right? Here in America, to see, and as a private school too, to see that go. I mean, you would think even the public schools wouldn't dare go that far. They did it with Obama. Remember the Obama songs, right? But this is pretty shocking. Has there been any blowback once this video has hit the news?
Yeah, there has been a lot. It really has become a national scandal, but this is actually a national phenomenon. This video did come out and it made a big scandal, but the Black Lives Matter cabal, if you will, they have what they call the Black Lives Matter Week of Action. And so last year for the Newman Report, we reported on what was happening in South Carolina. They were forcing the kids to do Black Lives Matter LGBT propaganda. The year before that, it was Iowa. We reported at the Newman Report here for FreedomProject Media that in Iowa, they were doing the Black Lives Matter Week of Action and terrorizing kids who didn't have enough melanin in their skin and telling them they're oppressors. And if you go to the Black Lives Matter Week of Action website, they'll tell you we're promoting globalism is the term they use, feminism, queerness, transgenderism. Really, this is Marxist indoctrination in the truest sense of the term, in that the founders of this movement are literally self-proclaimed Marxists. One of them went down to go pose with the mass-murdering dictator of Venezuela. To have kids participate in this is just, it's so sick.
So there is blowback, of course, across the country. What in terms about D.C.? Have any of the parents who are paying a lot of money to send these kids in, has there been any blowback locally? Are the parents speaking out, or are they just treating this as one more exercise that you would expect in a $40,000 a year kindergarten?
Yeah, the public reaction was absolute outrage. It got posted on Twitter by Libs of TikTok, which is a very prominent Twitter account that exposes this kind of racialist madness. As far as I know, I have not heard of any parents being upset about this. And it kind of goes with the territory. When you go to the school's website, I spent some time there, they're very proud of the fact that they're indoctrinating children. They say that they believe in getting the children involved in social justice causes very early on. So, you'd have to be an idiot of a parent to send your kids there not realizing that this kind of thing was going to happen. But these, to be clear, are the children of the Washington, D.C. elites and the future elites who are being brainwashed to serve as kind of leaders of the brainwashed zombies. It's terrifying.
Go back to the public schools. This is a private school, so I suppose they have greater latitude, right? I mean, they can just basically tell parents, don't come if you don't like it.
Yep.
Right? But this isn't the public schools. But in the public schools all across the country, they're observing this Black Lives Matter week. So, some of the more extreme things you mentioned over the last couple of years, but even much more, not nearly as revolutionary, but still indoctrination going on. What is it about Black Lives Matter? With all the scandals, you've got banks holding some of their money now. You've got investigations taking place at the highest level of Black Lives Matter because there doesn't seem to be anybody in control of the money. There are no best practices. It seems like there's a lot of skimming going along, people not paying their taxes. What is it about Black Lives Matter? Are schools and businesses just too stupid? When they don't see the politics of this, they're dumping all this money into Black Lives Matter. And like you said, go to their website. There has very little to do with race there. It's about, like you said, feminism and transgenderism and globalism and ending borders and global capitalism and global warming propaganda. So what is it about the left? Why this program of all the other things they could be doing?
Well, Marxism has always been a movement of the elites, and this has been true from the beginning, from Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels up to the financiers of the Bolshevik Revolution. We know it was the big banks on Wall Street. In fact, there's a whole book using government documents about that called Wall Street and the Bolshevik Revolution, and that continues today. The irony should not be lost on anyone that a Marxist revolutionary movement founded and led by self-proclaimed Marxists. Again, we've got the video of these founders saying, we are trained Marxists. The irony of having this kind of movement funded by America's Fortune 500 companies, by billionaire elites like George Soros, should not be lost on anyone. And it's a logical progression that this would be taught in the schools of the elites and then ultimately in the government brainwash camps that are being used to dumb down and destroy our kids.
Last quick question for you. We're out of time. Is there anything parents can do in the public schools when this kind of stuff shows up other than pull their kids out? Is there any clout or any legislation that might stand by them for the politicization of public schools?
Well, people have been working on that for 60 years, and it has been, it's the equivalent of banging your head against the wall. Nothing changes at all, period. And, we've got mutual friends who've been working on this, who've served as the superintendent of public instruction for a whole state. It's just when you get it from the school district, they'll go around and come through the state. When you get it through the state, they'll go around and come through the school district. They'll come through the unions. They'll come through the teacher training programs. This poison, this rot, is now completely infested in the system. There's no way to get it out, I don't think, except to get your children out. You can try, and if you get really lucky, you might get your school district to ban critical race theory and BLM, but they'll just do it anyway.
Are you a fan of the show? Consider joining the Patriot Club. Your tax-deductible donation of $99 a year keeps us going. Simply visit patriotclub.us. That's patriotclub.us to pledge your support and receive our signature tumbler as a token of our appreciation. We've got much more to come. Stay with us.
In the spirit of the 2022 Winter Olympic Games in Beijing, let's hit the ice, head down the slopes, or heck, just find our way out of a room. Shuffleboard is not an Olympic sport, but it is our president's favorite pastime. That and mask on, mask off.
I walk out of my grandpa Finnegan's house and standing up, Joey, keep the faith. My grandmother would yell, no, Joey, spread it. Don't spread the faith, guys. We can do it.
Leader of the free world. Meanwhile, Putin arrived at the Olympic Games plotting his next move. It's okay that Putin just, runs down a set of stairs. We have Joe.
President Biden trips, not once, not twice, but 3 times as he tries to climb the stairs to Air Force One today.
It's fine. It's fine. Which brings us to today's question. If the Biden administration competed in an Olympic sport, which sport would it be? And how would they fare? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and if you would ever be so kind as to share the video, I'd much appreciate it. You know, and my children would appreciate being able to eat, because the more people who see the video means mama can bring home some bacon. Literally. And it's literally not just Biden who is fumbling and bumbling, though he does it most. Those who do defend him all the time have to pivot. Pivot. I know. Right now you're saying, shut up, shut up, shut up. That's what I say when I see comments like this from the spinster Jen Psaki regarding the country's preparedness for the Russia-Ukraine tensions.
We're pursuing a two-track approach, which includes deterrence and diplomacy, but that we are ready either way for whatever decision President Putin might make. And we don't have a new assessment of his decision and where he stands on it. We also need to be prepared. Being prepared is exactly what we can do from the U.S. government in coordination and in partnership with our NATO allies, our partners in Eastern Europe, and of course, the Ukrainians.
Be prepared is the Boy Scouts motto, but since the woke kids have ruined the Boy Scouts, it makes sense for Psaki to co-opt the motto and spin it into her tangled web. And because she is the circle back girl, Jen Psaki, you have won the gold medal for the pivot. Please accept your reward.
Having a little dance. We're very patriotic today, too.
The entire administration has been pivoting to the point that they are in a Russian twist. Too soon? And they are looking proudly at themselves while communist China's president dictator Xi Jinping is cheering from the sidelines. Yay! Just ready to jump in and take over the world because one world order. I'd say the approach of the Biden administration in all of this is equivalent to the crashes happening all over the ice river during the giant slalom in the Olympics. I'd say the administration is going to crash into the wall, but that'll be all of us minion folk. Look, as Joe Biden says, they aren't going to lose sleep over anything happening with the crises at multiple borders, pandemic flip-flop, the Russia-Ukraine escalation, China licking its chops, whatever else keeps on coming. Biden won't lose a wink of sleep because Biden can't stay awake no matter what.
You can make a world that is once again full of hope, not fear. This is my message from Earth to come. On behalf of We 15, I ask.
It's all about health for Biden, and we all know he is not healthy. Which brings us to today's. Where in the world is Kamalama Ding Dong? Yes, Kamalama Ding Dong came out of her hole on February 2nd to say there's still 2.5 more years of Biden gaffes coming our way. But she also showed up at the White House for a moonshot announcement.
And today we are closer than we have ever been. Since the turn of the century, we have made significant breakthroughs. We have learned so much about therapeutics and diagnostics, about public health and patient care. More people are surviving cancer. More people are enduring cancer after being diagnosed than ever before. And the death rate for cancer has fallen by about 25% over the past 20 years.
That's amazing news. But the same could be said about another infection, the one of the past 2 years, and it's thanks to therapeutics. And yet, we must deny this knowledge because our authenticity about healthcare follows whichever narrative we demand at the time. On that note, because now that everything else the Biden administration has announced has failed pretty miserably, why not just claim we're going to cure cancer?
Our message today is this: we can do this. I promise you, we can do this. All those we lost, all those we miss, we can end cancer as we know it. I committed to this fight when I was vice president. It's one of the reasons why, quite frankly, I ran for president.
I'm glad Biden is attempting to do something for the health of this once great country. But then this comes alongside the curing of cancer moonshot. The Biden administration is going to fund crack pipe distribution to advance racial equity. Yes. In order to advance racial equity, we must now give out crack pipes to drug addicts, and it'll only cost $30 million. For those of you confused by such action, please allow Schmidt to help you out.
Hi, sir. How are you this evening? the two of us are very interested in purchasing some crack cocaine.
Crack cocaine, please. I just hope those pipes will make their way to those truly victimized. Like Hunter Biden. Because Hunter Biden needs to hit the pipe like every 15 minutes. But since he is about as smart as Schmidt on the note of crack cocaine, Hunter did once smoke Parmesan cheese. I am glad the government will help those who smoke Parmesan cheese in the name, again, of racial equity. It's really no Gouda. Now, on the note of crack pipes, Stacy Abrams, the woman from Georgia who, much like Hillary, can't accept that people don't like her and therefore voted for someone else, decided that she will again run for governor of the Peach State. Well, she just made a peach emoji out of herself, demonstrating her elitism and lack of humanity for children. You just take a look at this photo and tell me you don't see depravity. Our children are muzzled so that Stacy can get a photo op for her campaign. It really went down like that. People couldn't even defend her blatant attempt to use the kids for her own political gain, but they tried. Did they try to pivot? The statement from the Abrams campaign said, "It is shameful that our opponents are using a Black History Month reading event for Georgia children as the impetus for a false political attack. And it is pitiful and predictable that our opponents continue to look for opportunities to distract from their failed records when it comes to protecting public health during the pandemic." Those opponents, like science. Now, the campaign said that Abrams wore her mask at the event, but removed it so the students could hear her. And then she required the students to wear their masks while around her. In other words, our children must be diaper-faced for 8 hours a day so Stacy can get her photo. That's it. The Biden administration and those skating on the same track have demonstrated just how close to a complete crash we are as a country. The Beijing Winter Olympics happening at the same time we have such chaos is a golden reminder of what we should give our F's about. Faith, family, and friends. Go for the gold. So keep on giving those F's and please share the video with your favorite F's. Until next time, let's go Brandon and stay healthy, America.
Today's show is sponsored by our friends at MyPillow. Save up to 66% on all items at MyPillow.com when you use the code Dr. Duke. That's DRDUKE. Support this show by supporting a great American company.
It's time now for Reclaiming America with our counterculture mom, Tina Griffin. Tina, thanks for joining us today.
Hey, glad to be back. More problems to solve, Dr. Duke.
You know, when we missed a week last week, so I know you're over the top brimming with great information. Give us your take on Joe Rogan.
Yeah, Joe Rogan, man. I'm just very proud of this guy that he's standing up for what's right. Famous comedian, podcaster, has become one of the most talked about people in America today. Very controversial subject. Why? Because he's trying to get the truth out there. And as one of Spotify's biggest stars for his podcast, The Joe Rogan Experience, he has become a target for the radical left, Dr. Duke, because he's very vocal against the COVID jab. He's interviewed people like Dr. Robert Malone, Dr. Peter McCullough, both well-known. And Dr. Robert Malone is the inventor of the mRNA technology who's speaking out against the jab. So he has these people on, and people are up in arms that are on Spotify threatening to remove their music. There's a bunch of people now surfacing. Cool thing is Spotify actually is right now taking the side of Rogan. But what happened is Neil Young, Joni Mitchell, and they are now pulling their music from Spotify because of Joe Rogan. There's much more to the story, but if you research who actually owns the music for these artists and who they have deals with, you'll find connections to the pharmaceutical industry as well as other streaming music services such as Amazon. So it gets fishy, Dr. Duke.
Fishy is to say the least. Also, I was all on board with Joe Rogan until he started apologizing to these guys. What's going on with that?
You know what? It makes me wonder, and I'm just going to straight shoot from the hip on what I'm thinking. Is he getting death threats? Is he being threatened to be sued? Are they threatening to take him off the platform? I think if they threatened to take him off the platform, he'd say, go for it, because he's still dead set against the jab. But here's what just came out from Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s platform. He has a sweet newsletter everybody has to sign up for called The Defender. And this is what they just released. Rogan's statement came out as this streaming platform Spotify on Sunday, announcing new rules designed to combat the spread of COVID misinformation on its platform. Joe Rogan, it drives him nuts, as it does myself and you, that what is actual fact is being labeled as misinformation. But the new rules came out after a handful of musicians are saying they're going to close their, Spotify accounts, take down all their music. Right now, Spotify is totally taking Rogan's side. But what we can't have is Rogan backpedaling and saying, I apologize for what I said, because that is what shuts down freedom of speech here in America.
Speaking about crazy lunatic stuff, behind you, you have a graphic about after-school Satan clubs. Talk about that.
About 6 years ago, Dr. Duke, I got word, just because I talk in schools around this country for the last 22 years now, but I get dirt ahead of time. And I had very credible sources telling me that after school Satan clubs were going to start cropping up in schools, in public schools around this country from coast to coast 6 years ago in 2016. And parents are like, that'll never happen here. That's not going to happen. I warned people August of that school year 2016. Guess what? By September, October, my inbox is full of parents freaking out. I've been warning, like I said, for 6 years. However, it's finally getting some major attention. Parents from an elementary school in Illinois spoke out about the Satanic Temple of the United States starting an after-school Satan club in response to a Christian club at the school. And a spokesman for the temple says they're not interested in converting children to Satanism, rather the clubs to promote intellectual, emotional development. That is completely not the case. Hence the words of the actual after-school Satan club. That's their name. That's what they are promoting.
Yeah, I mean, no, you're not fooling anybody, right? We're the after-school Satan club, but we have no interest in converting you to the devil. I mean, that would be like picking the worst PR in the world to go after something you want. It's stupid, and no one's buying it, Tina. So I'm really glad that you called some attention to this. This is more and more. They call themselves an organization dedicated to reason and common sense, when in reality they are just fighting Christian. I mean, there's the devil right there. They exist simply to counter any public demonstration of Christianity.
Absolutely, Dr. Duke, couldn't agree more. And the thing is, they strip prayer out of schools. They're telling kids to no longer be able to bring their Bibles, even during their study hour, by themselves, sitting at their desk quietly, reading scripture if they want. That's their right. And yet parents are outraged about all this in Illinois. School has made it clear they're not going to discriminate against club and will allow it. But the problem is they're discriminating against any godly Christian values and morals and classes, then have, instead of all evolution, have male and female, have Genesis taught. If you're going to talk about this side of things and stripping any kind of Christian views, you need to have the Christian side. Otherwise, you're discriminating against Christians. And a majority of our country, Dr. Duke, I still believe, have morals and values and are geared towards God, but our voices are not being heard. What do I say? Save your kids. Homeschool them, or sign up your kids for Freedom Project Academy. You guys have a killer online classes, wider range, that get kids on the straight and narrow with the Lord and the truth. And that's what they need in their brain for education, not this junk.
Real quick, where do they find your information?
Absolutely. Counterculture Mom app is a must. Download it. These two stories have really bothered me today. Obviously, you can tell I'm just really frustrated because our kids need to be protected. So grab our app, Counterculture Mom app, get premium in there, and then you'll get updated with our notifications on pop culture alerts. We have a sweet team pumping out info daily. Click on the notifications that pertain to your family. Find out about positive media. We have a great movie that right now you can get for free to watch, and it's the 7 Churches of Revelation Times of Fire. It takes the steps through Apostle John's writings to the 7 churches of Asia in the book of Revelation. It's fantastic. Watch it with your family. Get this footage of modern day Greece. It's phenomenal. These are the type of things that need to go into our children's brains. Once again, by getting our Counterculture Mom app, you can sign up to register to watch that first release absolutely free. Get that in and talk to your kids and parents and students and everybody else at your public school. Let them know that no after-school Satan club is allowed.
If you have a question for Dr. Duke and Katie, please send it our way by emailing askduke@fpeusa.org.
All right, before we wrap things up, I want to take a moment to show some love to our Patriot Club members. Today, we give a shout out to James from Orange, California. And that's going to do it for this show. I'm Dr. Duke. Until next time, stay educated, my friends.